Mr. Speaker, our great nation recently celebrated the 160th anniversary of the 1848 Women's Rights Convention in Seneca Falls, New York. This groundbreaking convention was dedicated to the key principle in the Declaration of Independence that we are all created equal. Women have had a hard time to recognize that because it took more than 70 years for us to pass legislation giving women the right to vote. But in the years since Seneca Falls, generations of courageous women have made great strides towards equality. From securing the woman's right to vote in 1920 to serving our country in World War II, American women have come a long way. And in this Congress alone, we have much to celebrate. Speaker Pelosi is the first woman to lead this esteemed body, and Senator Clinton made 18 million cracks in the nation's highest glass ceiling as the first woman to run a formidable presidential campaign. Yet as we celebrate these important milestones and look back at all we have achieved since 1848, we know full well that our journey toward gender equality is not complete. Despite the strong leadership of several generations of women, we are still struggling to achieve equality in the workplace. Among the most distressing disparities is a significant gap in pay between American men and women who do this with this gap as they work side by side doing the very same work. Mr. Speaker, 45 years ago, President John F. Kennedy signed into law the Equal Pay Act to address the unconscionable practice of paying women less than men for the same job. Now that was 45 years ago, and we still struggle. At that time, when this bill was signed, women were earning 59 cents for each dollar earned by a man in a comparable job. While the wage gap narrowed today, the working women in America still only 77 cents for every dollar earned by men. In other words, let me put it this way, 18 cents more has been achieved in the past 45 years. According to the Department of Labor, which maintains data on over 300 job classifications, men are paid more in each and every category. This is so important, I'm going to say it again. And the Department of Labor says in 300 job classifications, men are paid more in each and every one of them, even in what they call the female-dominated industries, where women comprise 70% of that labor force. Women earn 20% less than their male co-workers. Experts estimated the average woman worker will lose anywhere between $200,000 to $2 million over her lifetime as a result of the wage gap. Over time, women earn significantly less than men, and lower wages translate into less income that counts in the calculating pensions and in some cases Social Security benefits. Closing the wage gap will have a long-term impact on women's economic security, especially in retirement. To all the cynics who dismiss equal pay as just another woman's issue, I want to point out that the wage gap not only hurts women, it hurts families. It hurts children being raised by single moms who have to work 2 jobs to make ends meet when one might suffice were she to be paid equally with her male co-workers. And it hurts families of 2 working parents who are struggling as one partner makes 20% less than her male colleagues. Currently, single women who are heads of households are twice as likely to be in poverty as single fathers. Again, currently single women heads of households are twice as likely to be in poverty as single fathers. That is a fact that we must face here and remedy. And we know that pay equity for women is closely linked to eradicating poverty. For families who live below or near the poverty line, the equal pay for women will make a significant difference to the well-being of American families. And after all, Mr. Speaker, isn't that why we're here? Despite these statistics and shocking data that indicates that men make over 20% more than their female colleagues on average, the Supreme Court dealt a blow to working women last year when it decided that Ledbetter versus Goodyear. In that case, former Goodyear employee Lily Ledbetter, an employee of 28 years, sued the company after she left the company after discovering she had been paid significantly less than male employees doing the same job during her nearly 2 decades of employment. And remember, Mr. Speaker, that the Equal Pay Act of 1963 was in effect at that time. Though Ms. Ledbetter was clearly treated as a second-class employee, although she got wonderful ratings and compliments on her job, the Supreme Court let Goodyear off the hook on what I think is a misrepresentation of the law. The Supreme Court ruled that in order to enforce her right to be paid fairly, Ms. Ledbetter would have had to file a wage discrimination complaint within 180 days of which the discrimination began. Now, imagine that. You're new on the job, you're happy to be there, you're learning your job, and you have no idea what other people are paid or whether you're being discriminated against. That shows you the grave mistake I think made by the Supreme Court. But since pay practices typically take place in secret, it would be impossible for a woman to discover the discrimination within a 180-day window that she has to file a claim. Justice Ginsburg, the only woman serving on court, wisely did that the Ledbetter decision really gutted legislative protections against discriminatory pay practices. Again, that would have been the law of 1963. In its Ledbetter ruling, the Supreme Court has all but endorsed gender discrimination in employment by robbing women of a legal remedy to enforce equality. One certainly understands that we need more women on the United States Supreme Court. To overcome these efforts to nullify the Equal Pay Act, we must redouble our efforts to insist that Lilly Ledbetter and the countless hardworking women like her in America are compensated fairly. Earlier this month, I was proud to join Speaker Pelosi, Senator Clinton, Rosa DeLauro, and Lilly Ledbetter, and many of my colleagues in an event in support of the Paycheck Fairness Act. Now, this legislation we're debating today prohibits employers from retaliating against employees who discuss their salary information with coworkers. Can you imagine that in most companies that is against the rules? It puts gender-based discrimination sanctions on equal footing with other forms of wage discrimination by allowing women to sue for compensatory and punitive damages. And it will help prevent future pay disparities by requiring the Department of Labor to expand outreach to employers and to continue to collect and share wage information based on gender. Finally, it creates a grant program to strengthen the negotiation skills of girls and women to help our daughters fight for the compensation to which they are entitled. Today we have an historic opportunity to stand up for the women of America and say you deserve equal pay for equal work. Today we have an opportunity and an obligation to stand up for our mothers and daughters and sisters and nieces who are making less than their male counterparts for the exact same work. And today, even though it is late in the day, we have an opportunity to secure the promise of America so that tomorrow our daughters and sons and granddaughters and grands will all have equal opportunity to achieve the American dream. And until we do, we will never reach the gender equality that women and men present at the 1848 Women's Rights Convention aspired to achieve. Mr. Speaker, it is our responsibility to the working women in our lives and to the generations of hardworking women who came before us to support this legislation. It is my sincere hope that this bill will soon become law, and I implore my colleagues to vote for it, and I reserve the balance of my time.